Ladies and gentlemen, in chronological order, the Queensland Rugby Hall of Fame inductees for 2023. Charles Chilla Wilson, one of the most lethal flankers of his time. Yep. That was on the field, then he became one of the most beloved administrators and team managers of the Wallabies. He was also my coach in under-18s and 19s at university where we won premierships, and he taught me a lot about life that I probably didn't need to know. He was a gynaecologist, by the way. He was Queensland player number 638, Wallaby number 424, Chilla, Charles or Chilla, whichever you wanted to call him, won 24 caps for his state and 4 for his country. They played bugger all games in those days. 3 of those games, he was the captain of the Wallabies. Incredible. He began his rugby at Marist Ashgrove, went on to Brisbane Grammar School. Can I just make a point here in the middle of Chilla? Did everyone know Brisbane Grammar School, the powerhouse of Origin, 2 of the players, the only school to have 2 players in the State of Origin team the other night. Quite incredible. Yes, I know, there's a table of grammar boys, I might did it for them. Chilla played for University of Queensland where he won 5 premierships, and then he went on to West when they poached him to become captain coach. He was first selected as a halfback, which to me now, I didn't realise that until recently, but it became quickly apparent that he liked hurting scrum halves rather than being one. He spent most of his career at flanker, the position he represented the Reds and the Wallabies at. I mentioned he was a medical doctor who served in the army to start with. He turned his hand to rugby administration after he'd finished playing. Well, he coached obviously for many years at university. And he was the team manager, well, he was the manager of the Wallabies for about 7 or 8 years. And particularly, the one that was probably the highest profile was the 1984 Grand Slam Tour of Great Britain. Yes, the one where Alan Jones was coach, and the first ever Wallaby team to go through undefeated against Scotland, Ireland, Wales and England. Mark Ella once said of Chilla, Chilla was an incredible human being, magnificent player. I spoke to many people who played with him, but as an administrator, he was beyond parallel. I remember Mark Ella saying of Chilla on that tour, I couldn't think of a better manager. With Jonesy up there dominating everything. Oh, could Alan Jones really be like that? Chilla was the perfect foil. The biggest thing Chilla had in his favour, Mark Ella used to say, was that everybody loved him, and they truly did. And the other thing was he always had a full bar fridge and he was in charge of the money. Chilla sadly passed away in 2016. He was aged 85. He was an incredible human being, and today he's represented by his son, well, Andrew's here, his other son, Robin, and his wife, Susan. I'd like to invite them onto the stage right now. Next up, the first Pacifica player inducted into the Hall of Fame, Toutai Kefu. A player, come on up as we talk about you, Kef. A player who blazed the trail. The man who blazed the trail for the remarkable ongoing contribution of Pacific Island players to our game and our state. If you don't know the story, it's a remarkable one. Toutai's father, Toutai, represented his Tongan homeland, and they beat the Wallabies. Was that in 1973 here at Ballymore? It was quite incredible. Yep. Queensland player number 1062, Wallaby number 741. Toutai's record as Australia's most capped number 8 still stands today. He was a Rugby World Cup champion in 1999. Captain his state. Queensland Centurion, played 103 games for the Reds. 60 for his country. Schooled at Cooperoo State High School. Toutai and his brother Stevie, Wallaby number 772, and he also played for the Reds, of course, were proud South Magpies. In 1995, Kev scored on his state debut against Natal at Ballymore. He was ridiculously skilled with his very first touch of the ball. He debuted 2 years later in 97, sorry to get you up here so early, Kev, for the Wallabies against South Africa in Pretoria. Most memorable Test may have been in 2001. What a moment it was for fans. Oh, geez, I commentated. It was great. When he scored the last-minute try to win the Bledisloe Cup and send out Captain John Eales a winner in his final test, and Eales, he said, you'll never pay for a beer while I'm around. We may discuss that. Toutai Kefu, currently Queensland Rugby's Vice President and coach of the Tongan national team, where he'd be hoping, of course, for another memorable Tongan upset. He's in the same pool as South Africa and Ireland, the number one world team in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up, Toutai Kefu. Let's go back to that 2001 try. You saved Ealesy and gave him a legacy for his last test. Did he ever cough up the beer?
He said every time, Cass, I see you from here on in, I'll shout you a beer. I haven't seen him since.
John Eales. Hey, listen, Tongan coach, quite incredible, but not a very good pool. What's it like with the highs and lows? There's a lot of difference coaching Tongan and coaching here in Brisbane.
Obviously, a lot of challenges, but you know, you can get weighed down by the challenges. We always try and look on the bright side. First game against Ireland, we've got a really good squad. You know, we've got some X factor now. This will be the best Tongan team ever assembled, I think. So you know, it's up to us coaches to find a way to win.
What's the hardest part about coaching?
It's
getting them together.
Yeah, I mean, they're all coming from different programs all around the world. You know, a lot of players playing for probably 20 to 25 different clubs. So getting them together, logistical nightmare, but then getting them to play together and think the same way is probably the biggest challenge.
Would the hardest job in the Tongan squad be the dietitian? Would that be... You have trouble keeping the weight off a few of the lads?
There is one particular person that we find hard to keep the weight off him.
Most number of chickens you ever seen one of your players eat in one day?
We were in, I think we were in Romania one time, and the boys had, the week before, had too much to drink, so we banned alcohol for the rest of the tour. They were allowed KFC, and I think they shut one KFC down that time.
You're not bad. Double standards from when you were playing, Kev. Mate, magnificent to see you, and thank you very much. Everything else, Israel Folau, will he play for Tonga?
Yep, he'll be there.
Wow, wonderful. Everybody, Toutai Kefu, one of the true legends of Queensland Rugby. And finally, we induct our second woman into the Hall of Fame. Vanessa Bradley only took up rugby at university, quickly became one of the strongest players in the growing women's game. Queensland number W16 and Wallaroo number 40. She was capped 8 times for her country over a career spanning 14 years. Her 30 caps for Queensland is a number that even now has only been surpassed by 4 other girls. During a career, which was quite an incredible career, as far as I can remember, we might ask you, Vanessa, she made her debut at fly half. She also played number 8 and prop. Surely no other Reds player has ever done that. Played for 6 clubs. She was named Australia's Female Player of the Year in 2007 and the Queensland Female Player of the Year in 2009. She made the steps that allowed all you other girls to follow. It's quite incredible. She's only played or won 5 national championships for Queensland and was twice named Queensland Player of the Tournament. Represented her country, of course, in the 2005 Women's Rugby World Cup. And after her retirement from playing, Vanessa has continued to lead the way for women in rugby as a coach and historian. She's actually the driving force, and we might ask her when she comes up here, behind the Queensland Women's Cap Project, which presented and tracked down all the female players to ever play for Queensland. Ladies and gentlemen, to complete our Hall of Fame today, Vanessa Bradley. here she is. I love it. Going from coaching, playing coaching, historian. This CAP project fascinates me. It's what's driven you the last few years. Can you just tell everybody about it?
Yeah, I was given the opportunity through the Vintage Reds to try and document the history of Queensland women's rugby. As we all know, Queensland has a proud tradition in rugby, 140 years, and making sure that the women had their place in that history as well, and knowing what order they took the field is important to that sense of belonging. So yeah, just being able to piece together all of the footage and team photos over all those years, it was just it was like an episode of This Is Your Life, really, watching yourself grow up on the screen.
How far away did some of the girls have to come back to receive their caps?
Oh, we had people come, some from overseas, some from New Zealand. We've been sending caps out to Dubai and sending caps overseas to the Netherlands and England.
Well, what do you think of the Ballymore redevelopment? The Wallaroosby House there, I don't know if it's been announced, but hopefully the Australian Women's Sevens program will be announced there. It's really a home for women's rugby.
Oh, look, it's just fantastic to see the opportunities that the girls get these days. It makes all the challenges that we face seem worthwhile. We faced some challenges very similar to the challenges that the blokes on stage earlier faced, sitting up in economy class and having to work a day job and going to training. But we wouldn't change it for anything. Just any opportunity you get to pull that jersey over your head, I would have been happy with one. To be able to do that for 14 years, I wouldn't change that for anything.
Magnificent. Ladies and gentlemen, Vanessa Bradley. Come forward. Ladies and gentlemen, Representative Chilla Wilson, Mr. Toutai Kefu and Vanessa Bradley, our inductees in the Hall of Fame.